It is a monumental day inside Watcher of Realms for like 99% of the player base because we have the Diao-Chan limited summons available. Make sure to grab her if you're watching this while the summons are up, but I went ahead and summoned for Eirlys instead, the new hero inside the game who looks absolutely fantastic, and I was lucky enough to pull her. It took over 200 summons though, so make sure to go ahead and watch that video if you have not seen it. Now, I'm going to be doing a breakdown on her, how to build her, her kit, all that sort of good stuff, as well as applying ratings to her inside the game to help get those like initial ratings substantiated, essentially, because a lot of people you know, will be wondering how to build her. Essentially, there's already a lot of reviews that have been put out for her. So I'm going to put in fantastic, keep the build, right? There's an achievement for getting a certain number of likes on your actual reviews. So if you want to help me get that achievement, go ahead and like the review that I just left. But we're going to be taking a look at her here. So let's go ahead and take a look into the kit. A basic attack applies 120% attack-based healing to one ally in range. Sanctuary of Light passive. One ally in attack range can be immune to one instance of fatal damage. If the ally triggering this effect is with Serene Breath, also gains immunity to all damage for 5 seconds. This effect can be triggered at most one time every 50 seconds. Now, what is Serene Death? Well, let's take a look at her talent. So when healing allies, applies Serene Breath, not death, to them. So when she heals allies with Serene Breath, she provides an additional 30% healing bonus. Up to 2 allies with Serene Breath can be on the field, and it cannot be dispelled. So she also applies a big version of damage reduction, both magic and physical, to them when they have the Serene Breath. And then she also restores 2% rage to the caster, so that would be herself when she's healing allies with the Serene Breath, which is pretty fantastic. Now, she has a Hymn of Prayer. While the hero is on the field, allies recover an additional 1% rage per second. Allies with Serene Breath recover 2% rage instead. Now, this is absolutely fantastic, in case you couldn't tell. One of the other heroes in this particular category, so rage regen / healer, is Eirlys, where she has the rage regen to all allies on the battlefield every 3 seconds. So that's going to be 1% rage per second for 3 seconds. Now, this means that, simply put, the rage regen at a base level is basically the same for Eirlys as well as Eirlys. The only difference is that if they have Serene Breath, she's going to double that rage regen recovery, which means that she's actually going to be a little bit better than Eirlys for the rage regen role specifically. However, Eirlys is also a cost regenerator in a way, because you can place her Wood Elf anywhere on the field, you can recall it, and it gives you additional cost above what you actually invested in it, which is pretty cool. So there's definitely, you know, some ups and downs to both of them, but I do think she's going to be a good Eirlys adjacent. Eirlys also obviously brings in things like the cleanse, right, which is huge. So again, I think a very, very good Eirlys adjacent. I don't necessarily think she's going to be solidly a replacement. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the Litany of Mercy. So her ultimate applies Healing Prayer. So you can't really see it because of my head, but when the bearer's HP drops below 75%, immediately restores HP equal to 400% of the caster's attack and removes its effect. When the effect duration naturally ends or is refreshed, restores HP equal to 200% of the caster's attack for the bearer. This effect cannot be dispelled. So with her ultimate, she's going to apply that Healing Prayer to one ally with the lowest HP percentage in range. Now, here's the thing, right? So she has a decent heal on her basic attack. She has rage regen for everybody. She has cheat death mechanics. She has massive single target burst healing. She is pretty damn good. She's also bringing the physical and magic damage reduction to the people who need it most. So whoever she's healing, right? She's pretty fantastic for a lot of areas. So most notably, you're probably going to be able to get some use out of her inside Abyss 1 if you need it. She's going to be, I would think, an absolute beast for something like Guild versus Guild, so GVG, because allowing somebody like a Torador or a Brokir to cheat death and then getting burst heals is going to be absolutely fantastic, plus getting those damage reductions on them is going to be even more fantastic. It's the same reason why we see somebody like a Lily used so often, right? It's why we see Carnelian used so often inside GVG. So giving us essentially a legendary and accessible version of that, because obviously Carnelian is an ancient exclusive. Lily everybody gets, I believe, but you know, she's an epic, right? You could certainly upgrade on her. So Eirlys is looking to be the upgrade, essentially. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at her awakening. So A1, she gets enhanced. So direct healing from basic attack and healing prayer applies 1 additional instance of 15% healing to all allies with Serene Breath. A2, she gets healing effect +8, kind of poopy. A3, when healing prayer triggers healing when the bearer's HP drops below 75%, grants damage increase to all allies with Serene Breath. So if you have a fighter who's also a tank, this is going to be huge for them. When healing prayer triggers healing upon natural expiration or refresh, grants damage increase to all allies with Serene Breath. So if they're taking damage, they get a damage increase by 50%. This is insane, right? And then damage increase of 30% if they're not taking damage. But if we think about like some sort of a tank who can also deal damage, so for example like a Malvira, right, getting this damage increase is going to be absolutely bonkers. You know, having a damage increase to, for example, even like an Arrogance, if your Arrogance is taking damage, because she's going to be giving this Serene Breath to anybody who's taking damage. So if you have like your Hatsuit inside GVG, if you have, say for example, any sort of a fighter, right? So your Arrogances, your Xenas, anything like that, getting this damage amplification is going to be huge. A4, Rage Regen +1. And A5, when Sanctuary of Lights or a cheat death mechanic is triggered, reduces the hero's attack interval by 35% for 15 seconds. So I believe that would be the person that she's triggering it on, not necessarily hers. It could also be hers, though, too, to give quicker burst healing. Unfortunately, I will not be able to test that because I don't have access to the test server. And I don't have 5 more copies to dump into her, and I'm certainly not going to be using Soul Stones to do it. So, for the artifact, I basically just took and switched all of my Eloin gear directly over to Eirlys so we can see how she performs. So with that in mind, I have Golden Scarab on her, which is a very, very decent artifact. So it increases her attack by 5%. Rage Regen increases by 50%. She's probably going to be the first hero that I actually max out an Elysian Epitaph for, because this increases your healing effect single target by 3% for every 1 ally unit present in range, stacking up to 4 times, right? And it upgrades further from there as well, so you're getting it increased quite a bit more once you actually get up to that higher level. I'll upgrade it here and just kind of show you how that looks. If we were to promote it, you can see it increases by 4% for every 1 ally in range, right? Which is going to be absolutely fantastic on her because she is obviously a single target healer. I have a lot of single target healers on my account, mainly Hollow, as well as somebody like, you know, a Vortex or something like that, but I've always had more use out of them by using like an Euphoric Orb or something like that. So actually being able to use the Epitaph on her is going to be pretty fantastic, right? It's going to be a nice change of pace for my account. Any sort of a healing artifact is going to do wonders on her, though. In terms of the gear, I have her inside Invigoration, which is going to give her a better heal effect, and then it's also going to give Inspiration, essentially, so a 10% attack increase to both her as well as whoever's placed first, right? So we're going to place down a damage dealer, then we're going to place her, and then we're going to kind of see what she's capable of doing. In terms of the stats, this is what we have going on. So 14,000 attack, 30,000 HP, basically. We have 537 on the speed, which is bringing her down to a nice interval of 1.2 seconds. And then we have 98.6 on the Rage Regen. So she's going to be cycling pretty quickly through her ultimate, especially considering that it's not too expensive. On the left-hand side, we have Light's Grace. In terms of the actual stats, this is how we're looking. So healing effect, attack speed, and attack bonus. Now, obviously, you could min-max this a little bit more. This is the Invigoration gear I have. I've never really farmed Gear Raid 2 because I absolutely fucking hate it. So I don't have the best Invigoration set to use on her, essentially. So if you had like extra attack bonus or something like that here, that would probably benefit her a little bit more. For the right-hand side, though, I would recommend a few sets. So Wings of Grace is going to be fantastic, going to be an upgrade to Invigoration. And, of course, Invigoration is fantastic as well. Now, on the left-hand side, you have a few options. So you could obviously run her inside Warlord because that's going to give you additional attack, right, as well as speed, both of which she does want. Astral Guardian as well as Light's Grace are both going to be fantastic for her as well. So Astral Guardian, of course, giving extra HP, extra defense. And then she is actually built out inside Light's Grace, which is going to give her healing effect and rage regen. So those are the stats that I would shoot for. In terms of the stats that you're going to be looking for when you build her, you're going to be looking obviously for HP, enough for whatever content you're in to make sure that she stays alive. You're going to be then looking for attack to make sure that she can place out some juicy heals. After that, you're going with attack speed. And then finally, if you can put some rage regen in there as well, that's what you're going to be focusing on. So pretty much in that order, especially if you're using a golden scarab, it's going to increase your rage regen by such a significant amount that you don't necessarily need to focus on it when you're just building her regularly. So let's go into Nightmare 4 here and do some testing. So we're going to remove our Eloin, and we're going to bring her in instead. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention is her faction membership. So she's part of the Watchers, which means that Leia as well as Ingrid can be lords for her, which is fantastic. And frankly, it's nice to get another healer in this faction. They do have quite a few, but not really any too notable. So obviously, like, Leia herself is just kind of okay. She's been power crept a lot. She's really just a rage regen unit. Eunomia is okay as well. And then she is also inside the North Throne. So the North Throne was also kind of desperate for healers because, I mean, like, really, at the end of the day, we just have some epic versions, right? So we have our Madon, our Vortex. But then for legendaries, you're looking at, like, Gwendolyn, who's obviously kind of right? And then we have Sadie, who's very situational at best. So seeing another potentially very strong healer inside this faction is fantastic. But let's go ahead and essentially just do a playtest here and see what we can make happen. So we're going to place her down. And then, well, so first of all, we're going to place, like, another unit. So let's just go ahead and place, like, our Kagiri here. And then let's go ahead and place also in, like, our Nerja here. And the reason for that is we're going to be placing Diao Chan so she can give inspo. And then we're also going to be placing our Eirlys here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now, I did also forget to mention that her ultimate is actually an auto cast. So we don't need to worry about clicking her button or anything like that. She is essentially just going to go ahead and cast it whenever she can. As you can see, she's actually doing some chunky heals. So we have the damage reductions up because obviously we have the heals that came in on them, which is fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and pop our Kagiri here as well. Boom. Just like that. And we'll continue doing some healing here. We're also going to test her inside the single target arena because obviously there's potential to take huge amounts of damage there. We're just going to go ahead and get some more units in here. And really, at the end of the day, the only healing that's coming in right now is from Eirlys. So obviously Diao Chan is in the inspiration mode. She's doing, like, negligible healing. Not really any at all. So, to see all of our heroes be topped up like this is pretty nice. We took down the Dragon Shield quick as hell there. My goodness. Let's go ahead and get down our Praetus as well. I really just want to try and stress test her. So I want to try and get, like, as many units placed as possible so that when we start taking damage from the boss, we can see just how effective she is at healing everybody. As you can see right now, everybody's nice and topped up. She hasn't even been healing, right? Like, so she's just sitting here chilling, just waiting for somebody to take damage, which should happen momentarily. So he's going to do his big kind of roar here. She now pops her ultimate, gets a heal on the Kagiri there. And now we will start taking damage, so we'll see how effective she is at getting everybody topped back up again. We'll go ahead and pop the Kagiri. Everybody takes some damage minus Kagiri. You can see she has those nice big chunky heals coming in for, I'm struggling to see where they're going actually, for like 20k almost, so 19k. So that's actually pretty crazy. Like, that's a very, very strong single target heal. We may have to bring in like a holo or something like that just to see how she compares, but you can also see her ultimate is cycling quick as hell. So she's keeping everybody nice and topped up. It's not even a struggle, right? Like, by the next time the dragon skills come around, everybody's basically at full HP again. One healer doing this solo is pretty damn good, I won't lie. So obviously, you know, Holo needs to have pretty darn good gear to be able to do this. This is the hardest stage of Guild Boss 1 that we can do, apart from going into like Abyss 1, which I'm certainly not going to do. And it kind of just shows how strong your account gets late game too, where you can really just, you know, do stuff like this. But more importantly, it shows that she is sensational for keeping people alive. And now she's just sitting here chilling, scrolling on her phone, right? Going through TikTok because she has nothing to do. Everybody's topped up. Everybody's healed, right? Which is pretty crazy. And I'd imagine that if we combine this with, like, certainly a Pharisee to give that AoE damage reduction and then the extra healing, you'd be, like, basically unkillable, which is pretty crazy. And then I would be curious to test her inside Semra as well, but we're not going to do that in this video. Instead, I am essentially going to go ahead and test her inside the single target arena like I mentioned. I really want to essentially, like, kind of go up into the higher stages and just see how her cheat death mechanic works before we give her any sort of a review. So let's go into the defense team. Let's go to single target. Let's go to healers. Let's remove our Elowen and put in our Eirlys. Now, obviously, if you have an Ingrid team like this is even better because she is part of the faction, whereas Elowen isn't. She's still bringing that rage regen, which is exactly why you bring Elowen, and she's just a fantastic option if you don't have Elowen. So again, like an Elowen adjacent. And I won't lie, I'm just going to pause here and talk about this real quick. So obviously, like, champions or heroes like Elowen and Diao Chan are so important to have, but the problem is there's so many new heroes being added to Watcher of Realms that as time goes on, the pool for, or the chances rather, of getting who you want from the hero pool is going to be significantly altered, right? So we kind of see this with gacha games time and time again. There's some busted heroes introduced at the start of the game. So we had, like, our Elowens and our Comets and our Boreases that were broken for a while, our Ingrids, right? But now they're essentially just pumping out hero after hero after hero after hero after hero, which is continually power creeping the hero released before it. So having these other options come in who can replace Elowen, because, for example, if you're just starting today, just now, if you're summoning on the 20x banner, you have a significantly higher chance of getting her as opposed to Elowen, and they both do essentially the same thing for your team. If you're just starting, you know, a week from now and the banner's gone, you're going to have the same chances getting Elowen as Eirlys. So, you know, something to consider there as well. But let's go ahead and see how this works. So we are going to go ahead and place our Sun Wukong as soon as we're able. So we're going to go boom right here. And we're going to see how this works, because I want him to get nice and low on his HP. And then I want to deploy the Eirlys so we can really just see how that cheat death mechanic works. But unfortunately, he's too strong, so we're going to have to go to round 2 to do it. We'll let the enemy come in here, bash him around a little bit. So here we go. We have the 18 cost. We're going to let our Sun Wukong get low. So one more hit, and then he should be able to be low enough to, like, cheat death. But we keep stunning the enemies, obviously, which is kind of funny. This is why Sun Wukong is so good for the single target arena, because he has a lot of control as well as damage. There we go. There's the one additional hit. Now you really just need to wait and try to deploy her right when the guy is about to hit, because if we deploy her now, she is essentially just going to heal up our Sun Wukong, and then we're not going to be able to test how he does. And we're just kind of hanging out, staring at each other right now, waiting for him to hopefully swing up and then get, like, a hit in, but it doesn't look like he's going to. He gets stunned by our summons, so we just go ahead and take out the second wave as well. We'll wait for the next summon to come in here, who has significantly more health and whatnot. So here we go. We'll let him get close to the Sun Wukong, and there it is. So now, right as he's about to hit us, we're going to place down Eirlys. So right now, and I think we actually healed him up before the cheat death mechanic took hold. So it's kind of wonky to try and activate it, certainly, but we're just going to go ahead and let them whack around our Sun Wukong a little bit here. Obviously, we have so much stunnage and stuff like that coming in, but you can see she's easily out healing the hits too, right? Like, we have 34, 28k on the heals, massive single target heals. They're only doing 15k damage, so she's going to be very, very good at helping your team to sustain. I'm going to just go ahead and start placing down the team as regular, actually, because I am curious to see how they perform in the later rounds. So we're just going to go ahead and let them keep whacking in there while we do some rage regen here to get Ingrid out. Now, that being said, here's another thing to consider. So usually this tile right here, where Diao Chan is currently, is just considered a dead tile. because you take damage from the AoE mobs when they come in and they're walking here. So that's something to consider as well. Generally, you wouldn't really be able to deploy anybody there, let alone like a healer that's not too incredibly tanky, right? So that's just something to note, right? So we'll see how much healing she's actually able to do. It is nice though, because as you can see, she helps significantly with the rage regen. Like you can see how quickly they're regenerating all their rage, which is just insane. Our Kagiri is able to ult cycle. Our Sun Wukong comes in. He pops his ult as well. Boom. Everybody's dead. Now, I really just want to see once we get to the waves with these AoE damage guys, how she does at healing us and the cheat death mechanics. So obviously, as you can see, they whack our Kagiri real hard. So I want to see the cheat death mechanic take effect. But you know what? She's actually doing such an incredible job healing that I don't even think we've triggered it. We just took out like 3 of those enemies with a 500k BP battle without even needing to trigger like Kagiri's ultimate or anything like that. That is genuinely insane. There it is. So we did trigger the cheat death, and then, you know, obviously they got through us. But that's crazy, because we had so many opportunities to trigger the Kagiri ultimate there where he could have just parried and then done the big damage. I don't think it's like, so if you're not pushing high-end arena, you may not understand how insane that is. But for comparison, it gets like very, very close consistently when you're running a like an Eloin, whether or not the Kagiri actually survives unless you have him like A5 with crazy gear, right? So that is absolutely insane, because if we look at a lot of these teams that are being run, so if we look at the leaderboard, we have for single target, you're going to have one of 2 teams. You're going to have like a Valderon team, or you're going to have a Kagiri plus Sun Wukong team. So generally we start to see those a little bit further down the scoreboard. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So I'm sure now that I'm trying to find one, I won't be able to. You can see Sun Wukong in here very consistently, but I swear to you, the Kagiri teams do exist. So it'd be very similar to something like this, right? So you'd have like the Ingrid, you'd have the Sun Wukong, but then you'd have a Kagiri instead of the Talon. And when you're running those teams, it is actually pretty tough for the Kagiri to survive without something else going on, right? So actually seeing how much single target healing she was able to output is absolutely insane, because keep in mind that the Kagiri is also going to be getting those damage reductions from her, what is it, Serenade Breath or something like that, right? So that's fantastic. Here it is. Here's the Kagiri team. So this guy is ranked number 281 in the entire world for arena rankings, and he's running an Eloin, of course. So, you know, it's pretty cool that you're actually able to see what gear they got on them and whatnot. So he's running his Sun Wukong in Ageless Wrath, which is interesting. But as you can see, Ageless Wrath on the Ingrid as well. Interesting. He may be just throwing people off with the builds there, or there's something I'm missing. That could be it too. But either way, right? So you have Kagiri, you have Sun Wukong, you place them down in the spots that I showed you generally, and it is what it is, right? So, that being said, like, I'm so excited for this. I'm so happy that I have this hero on my account, because this is going to enable my Ingrid teams to do significantly better in those stages, because obviously they're going to benefit from the full faction bonus across the board now. So it's not going to be just dependent on, you know, 4 heroes. We're also now going to have that 5th one. And she does such good healing along with the rage regen that she's easily a Eloin replacement. It's not even a question, right? Like, it's not even close. So we're going to go ahead and give her a review here. For Void Rift, I think she's going to be a 5, right? She's going to be a fantastic healer. Guild Rift, absolutely a 5, so good. Faction Wars, same thing. Immortal Codex, she could be either a 4 or a 5. I think most people would say that Eloin is going to be a 5 in the Immortal Codex, and if you're making Eloin a 5, I think it's only fair to make Eirlys a 5. Gear Raid 2, obviously sensational, right, with her cheat death mechanic. Gear Raid 1, also fantastic, right? Like, she has the rage regen. Gear Raid 3, you already know it. Arena single target DPS, we've seen how good she is. Artifact Material Raid, same thing. Gear Dungeon 1, that's the one with like your 2 lanes, right? So the top and the bottom, and you have like the archers that come through and you have to do a bunch of magic damage. Obviously a 5, right? Like, she's insane. Gear Dungeon 2, her range is going to be a little bit weird, so I think maybe a 4 there. Drake's Chasm, though, obviously a 5. Titanic Ruins, another 5. Now, for the arena AoE DPS, you have a couple options here because you do still very much see your Kagiri as well as Ingrid teams, which will make her a 5 in those teams. Right, Tide, she's going to be probably a 4. She didn't seem to have particularly high BP scaling. I could be wrong about that, though, but yeah, I'm going to give her a 4 there. XP Raid, a 5. Rage Regen. You know what, Tide, she's a 5. She also gets Rage Regen there. Gold Raid, also a 5. Anti-air DPS, you don't really have Watcher teams doing that, apart from, like, Ingrid, but she's usually paired with a playtest anyways. And you certainly don't have Northerner teams doing it. So for anti-air DPS, I'm going to give her probably a 3. Like, she's still very, very useful. I'm just trying to think. Like, she's still very useful, but I can't imagine a situation where she would be better than Eloin, right? Because you're not getting, like, the team bonuses or anything like that. So, yeah, I think we'll go with a 3 for anti-air DPS. I don't think that's really her area. But, that being said, you can see how absolutely fantastic she is. Everybody else is... Everybody else seems to be kind of happy on her as well. Like for achievement, please. Those are such lazy reviews. Like, we look at this guy. He has a build on her, at least, which is better than what we usually see. So most times people don't even have a build on her when they're begging for the reviews. Video guides, I was just going to check out what people have posted there, but apparently it just takes me to my browser on PC. That being said, though, let me know what you guys think of her, if you're using her, where you're using her, and how she performs, all that sort of good stuff. I am so excited to test her out inside Single Target Arena. The only thing that's really of consideration is obviously she's an 18 cost healer, whereas Eloin is 16. So having her out there is going to take a little bit longer compared to some of the other units you could deploy. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is, right? But go ahead and hop into the Discord, which is linked down below if you want to share your builds, ask questions, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm right, or just have a good old chat. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.